Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Nityaneshwar Prabhu. Thanks for a wonderful ecstatic kirtan. After a long time, I heard from you. So, welcome, His Grace Srivas Thakur Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, welcome to our Caritamrta study class. To give very, very brief introduction about Prabhuji, what I know from about Prabhu, I'll try to. But rest we want to hear from Prabhu only, because Prabhu's introduction itself is a one full class. So I'll not take much time. We want to hear more from Prabhu. His Grace Srivas Thakur Prabhu is a Shastric expert. He is by birth he is Filipino by body, but we all know it is only bodily conception. But amazing thing is, even having taken such a birth in such a place, Prabhu has taken Krishna consciousness so seriously. He has taken. If you hear Prabhu's how Prabhu came into Krishna consciousness, is amazing. How Prabhu takes his spiritual master instructions so seriously, and how during his practicing, how he was preaching, in spite of all the odds, we all know place Filipino, Philippines, how terrible it is. It will be conscious, but probably and so there is a lot to say about Prabhu, but I want to hear about Prabhu's introduction from Prabhu itself, so that we all know that will. I think Varnapati Prabhu will cover at the end after 30 minutes of session. We'll hand over to Varnapati Prabhu and ask all the questions, whatever we want to. Over to His Grace Srivas Thakur Prabhu. Prabhu, all is yours. And Prabhu, just for information, we are on live on your own YouTube channel also. It is being recorded. And Prabhu is actually practicing this Krishna consciousness in Krishna Katha Desh. He is a very strong preacher. So with that, we'll know from today's session. Prabhu, over to you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There seems to be a problem with the audio. Some of your statements are coming in choppy. But if just in case my words come choppy, please let me know so I can repeat them.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me here, Prabhuji. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much for that gracious introduction, although I don't really, belong to such, I don't really deserve all of these things. Since we only have 30 minutes, I would skip the Radhamadava with your permission, so we can have more time to discuss, and I hope that will be fine with all the assembled devotees.
Wonderful, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Guru Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will be reading from the Adilila, chapter 6, describing Lord Chaitanya and his 5 features, text 100. Ye kichu kahile tumi, sabasatya hai, Krishna prema se pai, yara bhagyodai. Ye kichu kahile tumi, sabasatya hai, Krishna prema se payari bhagyudai. Word for word transliteration. Yea, all. Kichu, that. Kahile, you spoke. To me, you. Sabha, everything. Satya, truth. Haya, becomes. Krishna prema, love of Godhead. Say, anyone. Paya, achieves. Yara, whose. Bhagya Udaya, fortune is now awakened. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what you have said is all true. Only one who is favored by fortune attains love of Godhead. Purport. One who is actually very fortunate can begin Krishna consciousness as stated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srila Rupa Goswami. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhaktilata Bij. There are millions of living entities who have become conditioned by the laws of material nature. And they are wandering throughout the planetary systems of this universe in different bodily forms. Among them, one who is fortunate meets a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna and comes to understand the meaning of devotional service. By discharging devotional service under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master or acharya, he develops love of Godhead. One whose love of Godhead, Krishna Prema, is awakened and who thus becomes a devotee of the inconceivable Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered extremely fortunate. The Mayavadi sannyasis admitted this fact to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is not easy for one to become a Krishna conscious person. But by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it can be possible, as will be proven in the course of this narration. I will repeat that part. It is not easy for one to become a Krishna conscious person. But by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it can be possible. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum lang heti kirim yat kripata mahamvande shigurum dinatarina. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Nityanami. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisisa Sunyavadi Paschatya Vistatani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what you have said is all true. Only one who is favored by fortune attains love of Godhead. So here we are saying Lord Chaitanya in the midst of the Mayavadi sannyasis. Last week, Prabhu was saying that the Mayavadis, they are the greatest offenders to Krishna. Mayavadi, Krishna, Aparadi. But now here we see Lord Chaitanya in the midst of the Mayavadis. The Lord is extremely independent. At the same time, he's also extremely merciful. But this mercy only comes by the mercy or by the intercession of the devotees of the Lord. We can see here that Lord Chaitanya accepted the invitation of the Brahmin because of the feelings of Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar. They were feeling so sad that these Mayavadis, they were blaspheming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as Lord Chaitanya is the super soul, he inspired this Brahmin to invite him. So we can see here that by the invitation of another devotee, the Lord becomes duty bound to come and give his mercy. We can see this in the pastime of Lord Damodar. So Kartik is now coming in a few months. We can see the pastime of Narad with Madagriva and Nalakovar. Madagriva and Nalakovar are the sons of his brother, Kuvera. Okay? But when they saw Narad, these two brothers being so intoxicated, they just ignored him. And they were not very respectful. So Narad cursed them and he said, you will become twin Arjuna trees. But don't worry, Krishna will come and save you. So when the time came that Lord Krishna was playing this part, as he was crawling, so my mother Yashoda tied Krishna to this mortar. So as Lord Krishna was crawling towards these two trees, he said, actually, I have nothing to do with these two fools. But because Narad has said so, so now I have to do it. Because Narad said so, the Lord had to do it. And so therefore, these two twin Arjuna trees were delivered by Krishna. So we can see here the power of the pure devotee. That by the power of the pure devotee, even the Supreme Lord, who is the master of all the material and spiritual creations, he becomes obliged. You see? So similarly, when Dhruva was riding to the forest, Narad said, okay, if you want to go, you can go. Okay, but you have to follow this instruction. So Narad instructed Dhruva on the path of Astanga Yoga. And he gave him that famous mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So he gave this mantra and he said, now you make a murti of the Lord and you worship him with this mantra. And at the same time, you perform your austerities. Okay? And in a short time, within a span of 6 months, Dhruva Maharaj, he attained perfection. And because of that, the Lord was again obliged to come and give his darshan to Dhruva. Okay? The same thing is with Chitraketu. Chitraketu, when his son was poisoned, he was feeling so bad, He was feeling so sad that his only son was killed. And during that time, Angira Muni and Narad again came there. Okay? And Narad gave him the mantra and he said, if you will recite this mantra with firm faith, with firm devotion, then within 7 days, you will have the darshan of the Lord. And within 7 days, Chitraketu, he had the darshan of Lord Ananta. So you can see here the power of the pure devotee, that by the power of the pure devotee, even the Lord, he comes to fulfill the words of that pure devotee. So we can see here that these Mayavadis, although they are the greatest offenders of Krishna, they can also achieve that mercy by the desires of the pure devotees of the Lord. And not only that, These sannyasis, they were convinced. They said, this is what you have said is true. So for them to even say this is a very great, uh, a very conclusive statement that all other kinds of truths will bow down to the absolute truth. That's why the first shloka of Bhagavatam ends with Param Satyam Dimahi. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna because he is the absolute truth. And not only that, every living entity, regardless of any philosophical standing, because their nature is to be with Krishna, the absolute truth, they are always attracted by the absolute truth. Okay, that's why we sing every day, Jayo Jayo Gaura Chandir Arati Kusoba, Jana Vitatavani Jaga Manaloba. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This arati of Chaitanya is taking place in the banks of the Jamuna River, and it is attracting all the minds of all living entities. All living entities. Jaga Manaloba. So the absolute truth is the main attraction of every living entity, regardless of their philosophical convictions. So this is the nature of the absolute truth. It attracts everyone, even the demons. We can see in the pastime of Vikasura. Vikasura, he was a demon, and he got this benediction from Lord Shiva that whoever he will touch his head will explode into 1,000 pieces. So after getting that benediction, now this Vikasura, he said, okay, Lord Shiva, now let me try this. If it really works, let me touch your head. Lord Shiva was shaken. So he started running to all across all the universe. But there was no place where he can hide. So finally he came to Svetadvip. And there he saw Lord Krishna in the form of Vaman. You know, this lovely Brahmin boy. And he said, what brings you here, Lord Shiva? And he said, I gave this benediction to Vikasura. And now he's after me. He wants to try. He wants to try this power if it really works. They said, don't worry, I will talk to him. So when Vikasura reached Setadvip and saw Lord Vaman, immediately he forgot about Lord Shiva. So Vaman said, what brings you here? And he said, actually, I'm looking for Lord Shiva. But he forgot all about Lord Shiva because he was so attracted by the features of Lord Vamanideva. So this absolute truth is a person. And this person is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Am I still sounding clear to everyone?
Yes, Prabhu, it is clear.
It's very clear. Okay, thank you very much. So this absolute truth is a person. And he has all the 64 qualities that attracts all the living entities within the universe. So that is the power of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over the Mayavadis. Now, a very significant statement here is that the Mayavadis say that one who is favored by fortune, he achieves love of God. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, he quotes that verse by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Brahmanda Brahmita Ikona Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasadipai Bhaktilata Bij. So I said that these living entities, they are wandering across all the material creation. So you can imagine, Lord Vishnu lying on the causal ocean and innumerable universes are emanating from his body, like grains of sand on the beach. And within each universe, we have 14 planetary systems, all the way from Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet, 14 planetary systems. And within these planetary systems, there are 8,400,000 species of life. So statistically, the probability of one person meeting a pure devotee is very close to zero. Just imagine how many universes. It is innumerable. You cannot count them. And within each universe, there are so many living entities there. So for one to come to this platform, he must be very, very fortunate. Now, how does that happen? How does a phenomenon where the statistical probability is close to zero, how does this happen? How can one achieve the mercy of the pure devotee and Krishna? So Krishna is all merciful and he has the interest of the living entity within his heart. He is the best friend of every living entity. That's why in every body that he takes, he goes with the living entity and he forsakes him. Okay, he appears there as the super soul. So that is the nature of Krishna. He is your best friend. He will never turn his back on you. So his main interest is always to awaken you to your senses. That is the nature of Krishna. That is also the nature of his devotees. Okay? So while one is wandering in different bodies, in different universes within the material creation, these living entities, they perform different activities. By the influence of the mode of goodness, they do something good. Why? Because the soul by nature is good. Okay? The badness of the living entity is due to his association with material nature. So when he is in the mode of goodness, he does something good. Okay? So by his activities, he does some pious activities. Okay? So if he is following the path of karma, then he becomes good to others. If he is also philosophically inclined because he is indirectly serving knowledge, which is a representation of God, then he also develops some pious activities, shukriti. Okay? But this shukriti coming from gyan and from karma will take a very, very long time to develop the needed shukriti for one to engage in devotional service. Not even devotional service, to develop firm faith. Okay? But there is one shukriti, and that is called bhakti unmukhi. This bhakti shukriti is unknowingly engaging in devotional service, unknowingly. For example, we again go to the life of Narad. Okay? Narad was the son of a maidservant. He was a Sudra. Because in his previous life, he was a Gandharva. He was so handsome, he was so beautiful, that all the ladies were swooning after Narad. And because he had all of these good qualities, one time they were invited to a Sankirtan yagya. And there Narad went and he started singing, showing off his nice voice. And there he was started glorifying the demigods. He started glorifying the demigods. And the great leaders of the yagya, they were disappointed because Sankirtan means the kirtan of Lord Vishnu. Okay? So they cursed him. In your next life, you will become a Sudra devoid of all beauty. So he became the son of a maidservant. But even during that time, when he was the son of a maidservant, he had the opportunity to serve the Bhaktivedantas. So he was doing menial service. And when the service is done, he would sit down and listen to them. So this is Bhakti Unmukhi. By little service, you develop some faith. This is the faith that is needed. So sometimes you also go on Harinam Sankirtan. We are forcing people to hear the holy names of Krishna. So when they hear the mantra being sung by the devotees on the street, That is bhakti unmukhi. And that is the kind of shukriti, agyata shukriti, that is needed so that one person can develop faith. And why is this important? Because this process is described by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. It says, Adav Shadha. In the beginning, there must be faith. Now, this bhakti unmukhi is not ordinary faith. This is the kind of faith that will bring you to the association of devotees. Okay? So, Adav Shadha Tata Sadhu Sangha. So, by the development of one's faith, one comes into the association of devotees. In that association of devotees, he learns more about Krishna. He learns more about himself. He learns more about the material creation. This knowledge is called Sambandha Gyan. Okay, so he learns about Krishna. He learns about the qualities of God. He learns about the activities of God. He learns about himself. Who is he? What is my identity? What is my function? What are my activities? Okay, these are philosophical questions that are being considered even by mundane philosophers. The question of identity. You see? So, in this association, this is described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. It says, Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parashpara. So, in the association of devotees, there is Bodhayanta Parashpara, enlightening one another. So, that is the purpose of Sadhu Sangha, to enlighten each other, to inspire each other, to help one take Krishna consciousness more seriously. That is the purpose of Sadhu Sangha. So you can judge the level of Sadhu Sangha you're having by how deep your faith becomes. So that is the test. That is the litmus test. By Sadhu Sangha, your faith should deepen in Krishna. Then in this Sadhu Sangha, you start doing some activities, devotional activities, Kriya. Narad Muni explains this in the 7th canto. Kriya Advaita. These Kriya are activities that are focused towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? Kriya Advaita, the oneness of one's activities. But here Rupa Goswami uses Bhajan Kriya. So for this Kriya to be sustainable, it must be done in devotion. Bhajan. Because Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that anything that's influenced by the mode of passion, it can never be sustained. It is not sustainable. So for this Kriya to be sustainable, one has to engage it in bhajan. So this bhajan, this is the mercy of the spiritual master. So in the association of the devotees, one meets the pure devotee of Krishna. Okay? And the first duty of the spiritual master towards his disciple, that is also described by Haridas Thakur. It says the first and foremost duty of Guru is to awaken Sambandha Gyan in the heart of his disciple. So you can see in the previous verses that when Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he met Sanatan Goswami, he spent 2 months teaching him the essence of devotional service. And if you will go further reading, you will see that Lord Chaitanya, he would always start his preaching with Sambandha Gyan. Who are you? What is your nature? Okay? Who is Krishna? And what is your relationship to the material creation? So this Sambandha Gyan is like, a triangle, an obtuse triangle. So we have the Jiva, we have Krishna, and we have the material energy. So in the transcendental platform, the Jiva is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He understands his position. And what is his position? is Gopi Bhartu Padakamayor Dasa Dasa Anudasa. He's the servant of Krishna. He's the servant of Krishna. And he is happy doing that. Okay? Sachit Ananda Vigraha, that is his nature. So eternally, he is happy doing service. And this is confirmed by in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Sabay Pumsam Parodharmo Yato Bhakti Radhoksache. The highest form of dharma, or the highest form of activity, is to reach the platform of Yato Bhakti Radhoksache, to serve Krishna with bhakti. But this bhakti is also qualified. So the verse, ahai tuki apratihata, it must be unmotivated. There must be no material consideration. Ahai tuki bhakti, that is pure, devoid of all material desires. And apratihata, it is continuous, uninterrupted, for it to completely satisfy the self. Yayatma supersedity. Okay? This verse is very conclusive. It says that for one to be satisfied completely, then there must be a haituki and a pratyata. That is the essence of Sambandhagyan. Because for as long as the jiva is not solidly grounded on this philosophy, then there will always be disruptions in his service. And so therefore he will not be happy. Why? Because if he is not solely happy, okay, then again the most of nature will affect him. So instead of becoming the servant, then his Ishwara, nature, becomes manifest. And when that becomes manifest, then he thinks, now I have rights. I have privileges. Okay? I should have this. Then he will have expectations. He will have hopes. He will think that he also deserves something. Now, this mentality is not the mentality of a devotee. It's the mentality of a servant. This is the mentality of a person who thinks that he is also a master in his own right. See? So this is what happens when a person forgets that. Okay? And when that happens, then he will see Krishna as his order supplier. So therefore, he will perform sacrifices. He will perform religious activities so that Krishna will give him something. This is called Subha Karma. Okay? He will see Krishna as his order supplier. And he will see the devotee as the means to that end. So when he sees a devotee, he will say, please give me your blessings. But what blessing do you want? What is it that you're really asking for? When we see a guru, when we see a sannyasi, when we see a very senior Vaishnava, and we go to him, and say, Dandavat Pranams, please give me your blessings. What blessings are you actually asking for? Because real blessings is the blessing that will free you from all material desires. Krishna says, yes, yaham anugrihami. If I am mercifully disposed towards someone, I take away everything. And the Shastras say that one should also study the scriptures. One should perform his service in the mood of detachment. Because when one performs pure service, okay, Bhagavatam again says, these are all, verses I'm quoting from the first canto. It says, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, Janayat Yasu Vairagya. When one performs a Haituki Bhakti, then he develops Janaya, transcendental knowledge, Vairagyam, and detachment from this world. So is that what you're asking for as a blessing? Or are you asking for blessings so that you can increase your material, properties? Or you want some promotion? Or you want to pass the exams? Or you want to be the CEO? Or you want to have mystic powers? Or you want to be glorified by the association of devotees. So what is it that you really want when you say blessings? See? So ahaituki means pure, the purity of purpose. So self-realization means you try to understand yourself. The journey is inward. You look at your motives. What is it that motivates you? When you say blessings, what is it that you're really asking for? When you want to accept guru, when you want to take initiation, why are you wanting to do that? Is it because you want to have a name with a das in the end? Or you want to have, a thread across your torso so you can say you're a Brahmin now and you're a senior devotee? Is that the purpose? So we have to really look deep inside and try to evaluate whether the things we are asking for are really something that will bring us to our constitutional position of becoming a happy servant. Or is it something that I'm asking so that I can prolong my stay in this world with much better benefits and allowances? Just like an employee, when you sign a contract, you talk about your basic pay, and then the next thing is what are my benefits? What are my allowances? How do I get promoted? What are the success factors? Blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Okay? But these are all desires that will make you stay longer in this material world. And that is not what Guru will teach you. Because some Bandagyan will explain, no, that is not you, my friend. So this is you, that is Krishna, he is your master, he is your friend. And this material energy, okay, these are all the ingredients of sacrifice. You are going to utilize them, okay, to serve the Supreme Lord. But if that is not solidly grounded, then you will see the material energy as something that you can exploit for your enjoyment. That's why there is a rush, okay, of who can get the most out of the environment, okay? So when one is not solidly grounded on this fact, then he will see the Lord as the order supplier. He will see the devotee as a means so that the Lord will become an effective and a very gracious order supplier. And he will see the material creation as one that should be exploited so that I can have more in life. See? So a little twist of the triangle, when you put the jiva on top, the whole thing becomes destroyed. And so therefore, one seva, one's chanting, one's spiritual activities becomes disrupted. And when that is disrupted, that can lead further to the development of anarthas. It will lead further to the development of offenses. And this is going to put a stop to whatever you have started. Okay? So ajnana, this ignorance will come to cover your intelligence. So one accepts a spiritual master for this purpose. And how does he accept a spiritual master? He accepts a spiritual master with all the humility that he can muster. Okay? We have this song, Gurudev Kripa Bintu Diya Koro Eda Sitreda Pikati. Gurudev, please have mercy on me. I am lower than a blade of grass. I have no good qualities. I am most potent. This is also the mood of Sanatan Goswami. I do not know what is good for me. When Rupa Goswami and his brother, they also met Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they were at a distance offering their humble obeisances. And who are these people? These are very powerful ministers in the government. Like, for example, like Pompeo, for example, in the US. Pompeo, Minuchin, they come to Krishna, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and say, I do not know what is good for me, please enlighten me, bowing before Krishna. So that shows that even with their material achievements and with all of their material qualifications, that is not a qualification for accepting transcendental knowledge. Okay? That is not a qualification. So one should accept the spiritual master with all the humility, thinking that the spiritual master, he is the confidential servitor of Krishna. He is Sevak Bhagavan. He is the supreme personality of servitorship. He's not an ordinary person. That's why we sing every day. Shakshad Vina Samastasastra Uktash Tata Bhavyata Eva Sadvi Kintu Prabhuya Priya Eva Tasya Bande Guru Shichana. If one accepts the spiritual master on this level, then Yasya Prasarad Bhagavat Prasad. Then the mercy will flow. Okay? So this interaction, okay, between the Jiva and the spiritual master, this is where the fortune is awakened. So Prabhupada describes Bhagyavan, Kona Bhagyavan as the awakening of this fortune. Like Chitraketu, he said, if you are merciful towards me, you see, I'm like a dog. I'm like a pig. I have nothing, even though I am the king. But if you will ignite the torch of knowledge, then I know you will save me. So this is the prayer of a disciple. So I will always sing, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Devara Bhakti-sama. The lotus feet of the spiritual master is the abode of pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. So it is by the mercy of the pure devotee, the Guru. By the mercy of the pure devotee, even a lame person can cross the mountains. Even a dumb person, he can speak like a great orator. So the Srimad Bhagavatam shows all of these pastimes. It shows the rise and fall of devotees towards their service. Rise and fall and rise again by the mercy of Krishna. That's why the Srimad Bhagavatam is a very important book that we should study. Because when Vyasadeva has written all the Vedas, including the Mahabharata, including the Upanishads, and you see Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is there. I think that's the 10th chapter of Mahabharata. He was not happy. And he was contemplating why. Where did I go wrong? I have written everything already to benefit human society, but why is it that deep within my heart I am not satisfied? So he was praying like this. So when a person starts praying like this, then Krishna sends his representative. So while he was praying like this, while he was contemplating, then Narada appears. And he said, how are you, Vyasadeva? Are you happy? Identifying yourself with the mind, identifying yourself with the material body. He said, no, I'm not really happy. In fact, I do not know the cause of my problem. Please enlighten me. Please direct me. So you see here, the attitude. So the spiritual master must be qualified. He must be an Uttama Adhikari, pure devotee of Krishna. And the disciple must also be very humble and be very honest. Honesty. Honest is very keen to the absolute truth. Truth means honesty. So immediately Narada says, you know, the problem is because you have written so many things. And people will use this so that they will engage in sense gratification without any restriction at all. So you have given them the license to engage in sense gratification in the name of Dharma, but you have not given them a personal conception of God. You have not given them the means so that they can understand and engage in the service of God. So if you want to be happy, then you have to describe all of this. And so because of that, okay, Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam tells about the glories of God in his various incarnations. And he also tells the stories of the great devotees. And you can see in the lives of great devotees, there were glorious moments. There were also pitiful moments. There were times that they also failed miserably. But even in their failure, even in that situation, you can see that the power of bhakti was able to deliver them again from that condition. Okay? So this is when the fortune is awakened. So when Mat meets the spiritual master, he gets the samban again. And from there, the next process begins, which can take a lifetime. And this is the process of anartha nivritti, clearing the stage. Okay? Because unless this is done, one will not reach the next stage, which is nishta, becoming fixed. Okay? And without becoming fixed, he cannot develop any taste, ruchi. And without ruchi, one cannot also develop a shakti or attachment. Okay? So from this stage, one becomes fortunate. Okay? This is how that fortune is awakened. So I will stop here and we will open now the platform for Bodhayanta Parashparam, enlightening one another. So if you have any questions, please feel free to say them. We have so many devotees here who can give conclusive answers to this. So this is the good thing about Sadhu Sangha. There are many devotees who can inspire you by giving them answers. So if there are also any comments or clarifications, please feel free to say them. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much, His Grace Srivas Thakur Prabhu, for a wonderful, very, very practical and very deep topic you touched. And it's really
Hare Krishna.
eye-opener for at least me, because we know what actually we are doing. And so many topics you touched, which are really amazing and very practical for us to understand, learn where from actually we are getting our Sukriti. We think that what we are doing is on our own strength, but forgetting that somebody is behind us giving his Agnata Sukriti all the time. So there are many questions, Prabhu, but I request His Grace Varanapati Govinda Prabhu to moderate today's session, rest of the session. To give introduction about Varanapati Govinda Prabhu, he is Parishit Maharaj of our group. So he is very, very inquisitive, and he is actually delivering all of us with his questions. So today maybe we have Sugata Goswami to answer his questions. So Varanapati Prabhu and Mataji, actually they are from UK, Prabhu. They're Indians, but their Prabhu is working in London. So he is no, here Mataji, they religiously attend. The time difference from here to UK, morning 4:30, 5 o'clock. So every Saturday, I don't think any class Prabhu has missed. Prabhu and Mataji, they missed last 1.5 years since Prabhu started attending. So His Grace Varanapati Govinda Prabhu, can you please take over from here and moderate the session, question answer session?
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Varanapati Prabhu, just make sure you keep watching the chat box. I requested devotees to post the questions on the chat box, so
Yes.
you can cover them also.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. As Prabhuji, you said, I will try to be the moderator for this session. And I'm watching the chat. And if anybody would like to raise the virtual hand in his or her own voice, would like to ask the question, feel free to do that. As soon as I will see the virtual hand, I will stop and I will request you to come over and ask your question in your own voice if you would like to. So Prabhuji, thank you so much. It was indeed the way you explained things. One of the best thing I liked was the clear, concise, and the simplicity, the language you used, some of the fundamental aspects of Krishna consciousness, the way you explained it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We do have a lot of questions, and just noted down few of them, which we have already been raised. But before we will go further, Prabhuji, the very first thing, as Prabhuji mentioned in your intro, your background is so enlightening. Could you please briefly state a few things, how you got into Krishna consciousness to inspire all of us, please?
Hare Krishna. I met the devotees in the fall of 1982 while they were distributing books. And at first, I was a little hesitant because these were young brahmacharis and they were quite playful on the streets while distributing books. So while they were using the garb, while they were in the garb of a monk, I found it a little, I found it a little surprising that they were quite playful because our traditional way of looking at a monk is he's very sober, he's very well behaved and all that. So I was trying to avoid it. But one of the devotees noticed that I was avoiding them. So one day he tried to catch me in my detour path and he started talking to me. And I told him, "What is your philosophy?" So this devotee, he barely finished sixth grade. And he started talking to me about Sambandagyan. He was talking to me about the identity of the living entity. And I said, how can such a very good philosophy come from a person who's not even educated, who's like very playful? So that stuck at the back of my mind. And then my brother, he had a good friend who was, uh, one of the guys who was in the hippie era. And during that time, when you say hippie, they take drugs, alcohol, and everything. And he told me that, look, if you want to stop your vices, why don't you go with my friend? He joined this Hare Krishnas and now he is vice free. I was a little surprised. So one day I walked into the temple and they were having this big kirtan. And I was shocked because, when you say a monk, you know, they are very well behaved. You see here a group of people jumping up and down, chanting Hare Krishna, very happy. And I said, this is a totally different place. Because before that, my mother wanted me to become a Catholic priest. So I spent a few years in the seminary, but I was not really happy there. So this was a totally different outlook of a spiritual life. So, okay, I stayed there, joining the kirtan, watching them, listening to the philosophy. And after some time, they started visiting me in my house. So, in the Philippines, we are known for our hospitality. So we tried to be hospitable to them. So they would come, they would visit, they would give us books. My mother would buy them. And then one time, my parents bought a new house. And at that time, there was this big Sankirtan party. There was a big marathon coming up. So they had no place to stay. So my mother said, you can stay in our house while we are renovating it. So if you like, you can stay there. So the devotees stay there. So I went there also, and they started asking more questions and, trying to provide whatever they needed. And then they said, our Gurudev is coming. So why don't you come with us? I said, okay. I did not even know what is the concept of Gurudev or something, but it appeared that it was their leader. So I went with them to their temple when the Gurudev came, and that was the first time I met my spiritual master. And somehow or other, there was this devotee who said that actually the parents of this boy are not favorable. And I was shocked because, my parents were very supportive to them. I didn't know where that came from. Immediately my Gurudev said, if your parents are not favorable, then you have to stay in this temple. And I couldn't, I don't know, but for some reason I couldn't argue my case. So I stayed. Forget about university, forget about everything. I just stayed there. And the first thing I did was to clean the toilets, clean the temple room, read books, inquire more about what we are doing in the temple because that was the first time I saw deities. They're serving, deities. And I had practically had no idea. And then after a few months, uh, I was promoted to a Sankirtan devotee. I was now a book distributor. But before that, I became the servant of one of Prabhupada's very senior disciples. His name was Tejas Prabhu. He was our temple president. During that time, most of our authorities were the Prabhupada's disciples. So every day I would go and fix his bed. and he would ask me about my reading. So I would tell him I'm reading Bhagavad Gita, which chapter, and he would coach me. He would teach me things, and I would inquire further. So I think he was pleased with that. And then I became a Sankirtan devotee. So every day we would go out and distribute books. But believe me, during that time, my idea about Krishna consciousness was very, very superficial. I did not really know what I was doing. I was just doing it. And I just followed that instruction, although I was thinking, why am I giving up my education? That's my future. But somewhere or other, I was just stuck there. And then finally, my mother came and said, I think there's a misunderstanding here. You see, your devotees came to our house, we opened our house, we bought a set of your Srimad Bhagavatam, we bought all your books so that my son can study your philosophy, but all of a sudden you take him away. So why is this happening? So that was the first time Pages Prabhu understood the whole situation, and he said, okay, we will send your son back. And I was shocked. I said, wait a minute. You said that, the goal of life is to serve Krishna, to be in the association of devotees. Now you're sending me back home. He said, don't worry. You will go home, and then when Gurudev comes back, you will come and see him again. So with a very sad heart, I had to leave the temple and I had to go back home. And he was telling me about the story of Raghunath Das Goswami, how he was also being forced by his parents to go home. At the time, I did not, it did not really appeal to me because I already had developed some friends within the movement. And then, after a few months, Gurudev was coming back. So I went back and I told him, Gurudev, they sent me back home. And he said, yeah, that is the arrangement of Krishna. But then I told him, but now, how can I become your disciple? I am staying so far away. I have no more association with the devotees. And he said, let's see what Krishna desires. So during that time, there was a big festival and there was a big initiation ceremony at that time. There were many devotees from China, from Hong Kong, who were there. I think that was the biggest initiation that was ever held back in the Philippines. So everybody was shaving up, everybody was preparing for the initiation the day before. The devotees were dyeing their dhotis, getting ready. And I was there making tulsi neck beads for the initiates. That was my service. They asked me, okay, you paint the pots for the yagya. After doing that, you string some neck beads for the devotees. So I was doing that, but I was very sad. I said, now after this I have to go back again. So what will happen to me? I was praying, my dear Lord, let me know what situation am I now? I have found my home and finally I have to go away again. So I was thinking like that. So on the day of the initiation, maybe an hour before the initiation, there was already this roaring kirtan, everybody was chanting Hare Krishna, big kirtan, and the initiates, they were already seating themselves before the fire, with their Harinam childers, with their freshly shaven heads, and with their dhotis. And there I was, you know, going to take my final shower so I can go and attend the initiation ceremony. When I was putting on my dhoti, then one devotee said, hey, they're looking for you. And I said, who's looking for me? Tejas Prabhu is calling you. He's in Gurudev's house. So I went there. And when I went there, they were having this discussion, Tejas Prabhu and another devotee. His name was Purnachandra Prabhu. He became the Shastrik minister of ISKCON one time before he passed away. He became a sannyasi and he became the Shastrik minister. He was an inspiration to us all because of his Shastrik knowledge. So when I went there, I paid my obeisances and Gurudev said, Tejas Prabhu and Purnachandra are recommending you for initiation, but you're so young. At the time I was, I think, barely 18 years old. So I said, I would like to be your disciple, but yes, you're right, I'm young. And he said, I'm concerned because, because you are so young, you might not be able to keep your vows and, become fixed up in your devotional service. And I just said, Gurudev, the scriptures say that with the mercy of the pure devotee, anything is possible. Even a lame man can cross the mountains. So if you will give me your mercy, I don't think this will be my problem. So I said, okay. Now go shave your head and you will be initiated today. And that's how I became a devotee. So my initiation was just pure mercy. I was not really qualified. I was not really a fixed up devotee. That's how I came to Krishna consciousness.
Haribol for you. That was so transcendental to hear. After hearing that, despite all those oaths, how you came into Krishna consciousness, it really makes us feel that how lucky some of us are. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, to share with us. It is indeed, as expected, very inspiring and encouraging. Now, felt like it all started with Sadhu Sangha. Now, next question is on the reference from the scripture where it says that one shana, a moment with Sadhu Sangha will purify us. The question is that Kamsa had association of Narad Muni for some time, but did not have a change of heart. And similarly, we have the example of Ritasura, who had the association of Lord Shiva and Vamandev, and we could not see much change there. So why it didn't happen for these two?
Very good question. In fact, even Lord Chaitanya had a servant. When Lord Chaitanya went on a South Indian tour, he had a servant. But even this servant, he kept on falling along the way. There was one time that this servant, he got into the association of these Mayavadis, and he started liking this Mayavadi philosophy. That the Lord himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had to pull his Sika, literally pull him away from that association. Okay? Pull him away from that association so that he can be saved. And this happened on 2 occasions. That's why when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Jagannath Puri, he banished this person. He said, "You are no good. I want you out of my association." But again, the devotees, Sarup Damodar, Advaita Acharya, all of them, they were interceding. They said, "Please have mercy on this guy." So at least don't drive him away. If you drive him away, drive him to a person where he can still be saved. So they all agreed that he becomes the servant of Lord Chaitanya's mother. Okay? So here we can see that even within the association of devotees, within the association of God himself, if one is not desiring to really be of service, if one is not desiring in a favorable way to understand his position, even in the association of God, that is not going to happen. Why? Because Krishna respects your free will. You are Tatashta Shakti. That is your unique quality. That you have a choice to make. And God is not going to intervene with that choice. So even in the association of Krishna, even in the association of a pure devotee, if that change of heart is not going to happen, God is not going to force you. So we see Kamsa. Kamsa had a lot of association. Actually, before he became Kamsa, he was the son of Hiranyaksha. He was Kalanemi. Okay, the story is in the 8th canto. This Kalanemi, he was fighting alongside Bali Maharaj against Lord Vishnu and the demigods. This Kalanemi, he attacked Lord Vishnu and he threw his trident straight to Lord Vishnu, and it nearly grazed the head of Garuda. But Lord Vishnu caught this spear, this trident, and hurled it back to Kalanemi, and it killed him. So here we see association also. Okay, seeing there Krishna, but his mood was different. Okay, but then this guy becomes Kamsa in his next life, and here Kamsa becomes the uncle of Krishna. Uncle by blood, they are related. But again, this guy is not having a change of heart. But because of this association, you see, devotional service is so powerful that even if one maintains such a sinful stance towards the Supreme Lord, this purification goes on unknowingly. So in his next life, this guy becomes Chandkasi. So again, as Chandkasi, he was again harassing the devotees. But it was time for Krishna to deliver everyone as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to flood the whole universe with Krishna Prema. So he said, regardless of who they are, he did not see any disqualification anymore. Regardless of who they are, they must be given this opportunity. So when Lord Chaitanya started the Sankirtan movement, the first thing he did was to rally the social disobedience. And the first place he went was the place of Chankasi. Okay? And you imagine the army of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, when all the people were preparing, for this Sankirtan, revolution, the people of Navadip, they were thinking, where are these people coming from? Why are there so many people coming here? See, because all the demigods, they appeared there in Navadip to take part in the Sankirtan movement. You see, so even the Navadip people, they were so, where is everybody coming from? So when this Sankirtan started, they all went to Chankasi. Okay, and there, Chankasi was running for he was hiding. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear uncle, why are you hiding? Why are you doing this? What kind of religion is this that you are preaching? And why are you stopping us from performing Sankirtan? So because of that, this Kalanemi, who became Kamsa, who became Chankasi, was finally liberated by Krishna. So even these demons, even though they had a very inimical, attitude toward Krishna in previous yugas, at the end, they become liberated. That is the mercy of Krishna. That is the extreme mercy of Krishna. Like this Bali Maharaj. This Bali Maharaj, he is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, right? Okay? And this Bali, he fought with Krishna many times. Okay? In fact, when he was fighting with Narayan, he died. But this Sukracharya, because he had these powers, he brought him back to life. Okay? And because of that, they worship Sukracharya. Okay? Because they are following the principle of accepting Guru. These demons, they became so powerful that they were able to overcome the demigods. Okay? Now, this Bali Maharaj had 100 sons, the eldest of which is Banasura. Banasura had 1,000 arms. You can read that in Krishna book. He was the eldest son. And this Banasura, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. Why? Because he was very good in music. Imagine what you can do with 1,000 arms. With 2 hands, we can come up with so many great beats in the Mirdanga. Imagine what you can do with 1,000 arms. So when he plays his music, Lord Shiva gets entranced and he dances so wildly that he dances the dance of destruction. So Madhu Parvati will stop him, okay, because he gets lost in the music of Banasura. So this Banasura was also a great demon. Okay, he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. Okay, but this Banasura, he had a daughter by the name of Usha. And this Usha, somehow or other got infatuated with the grandson of Krishna, Aniruddha. You can read this in the 10th canto. And so by the mystic power of his servant, Chitra, they were able to summon, Aniruddha into the kingdom of Banasura. And this Usa was hiding Aniruddha in the room, until finally the guards were noticing something, that why is Usa behaving so differently? Somebody must be inside the room. So they reported this to Banasura, and Banasura stormed inside with his soldiers. There they saw the grandson of Krishna, who was the sworn enemy of Bali Maharaj. Okay, so they arrested Aniruddha. Okay, grandson of Krishna. So when Krishna Balaram came to know about this, they gathered their whole army and they attacked the kingdom of Banasura. And there was this great fight. And here, Lord Shiva, with his sons, Ganesh, Kartikeya, everybody, okay, they were fighting on the side of Banasura. Even Lord Shiva, he unleashed this demon, fire demon, to fight against Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna also unleashed his fever demon. So this demon fought, and the demon of Lord Shiva was defeated. So eventually, when the war was already going a little bit longer, so Krishna said he started chopping off the hands of Banasura one at a time. So 1,000, 90, 50, until it only came to 2 arms. And when he had only 2 arms left, Lord Shiva ran to Krishna and said, "My dear Krishna, please spare him. He is my devotee. I promised him he will never lose in battle. But please, spare him. Otherwise, he will lose faith in me." And you know what Krishna said? "You know, Lord Shiva, I will spare him. Not because of you, but because of the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj." So, Nrsimhadev promised Prahlad Maharaj that 21 generations of his forefathers he will not touch. And Dedo Banasura, you know, and Banasura is still within, you know, that 21 generations. So therefore, Banasura, although he was very unfavorable towards Krishna, he was spared because of the bhakti of Prahlad, and not because of Lord Shiva. So you can see here that real bhakti is given by the pure devotee. So association must be favorable. Okay? And the best kind of association is the association with a pure devotee of Krishna who is serving Krishna without any motivation. Does that answer your question?
Hare Krishna. Certainly, Prabhu.
Very well.
That question was asked on behalf of His Grace Radhavati Krishna Prabhuji from Krishna Katha.
Oh yeah, I know him very well. He's a good friend.
Right. And the next question is very similar, and I think you have answered that as well. I will request if Prabhuji would like to follow up, please let me know. Otherwise, I will skip that question. But it's very similar question, and you have already covered that, Prabhuji. So I will move on to the next question then, which is another Prabhuji saying that please advise neophyte and less intelligent like me, or you can consider me, how to perform because you mentioned a lot about bhakti, Prabhuji, that from your own experience, ahetuki bhakti, how to perform that, how to get a bit better at it on a daily basis.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are all in the same boat. Okay, we're all still struggling. So devotee means he's trying his best. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Ram Prabhupada. There is a very nice song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It says, "Gurudev kripapindu diya koro e dasitwina pikati hina." And the Gurudev, please give me your mercy because I am lower than the blade of grass. I have no good qualifications. Sakale sahara korite sakati dekho tajeta. Okay? Tabito kaibo harinama sukhe. If you are merciful towards me, then I can chant with all happiness. Harinama sukhe. Aparade habehata, and all my offenses will cease. So this happiness or this coming up to that platform of Susukham Kartamabhyayam comes also from the mercy of the spiritual master. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Rajya Vidya Rajya Guyam Pavitram Idamutama Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharma. Okay? Krishna says, this knowledge, this philosophy that I'm giving, this is the king of all knowledge. This is the purest. This is the topmost education. And why is it scientific? Because pratyaksha avagamam, you can feel it by direct perception. Direct perception. You can perceive it. And what is that? Susukham kartamabhyaya. You become happy. So why are we not happy? How can we develop this ahaituki? First of all, we have to understand our position again. The position of the servant is not to enjoy, but to provide enjoyment to the master. That is the nature of service. Pure service is unconditional. Like your service to your children. You take care of them because you love them. Of course, when they grow old, you say, oh, I take care of you because you have to take care of me when I get old. Okay? But when they're young, you have that kind of a mood. But all of this mood, all of this nice qualifications can be destroyed by two things. So Krishna says, Boga Ishvarya Prashaktanam Taya Parita Chedasa. Vyavasayat Bika Buddhi. Vyavasayat Bika. This is a very important line. He says, if one is addicted to Boga, enjoyment, and Ishvarya, material opulence, okay, this determination, this one-pointed determination will not happen. So Prabhupada explains that Vyavasayat Nika Buddhi Ekeha Kurunandana. This one-pointed focus can only be achieved when one focuses on the instruction of the spiritual master. This can only be achieved when one focuses on the mercy, on the leela of the spiritual master. That's how powerful it is. You see, Vyavasayat means one-pointed attention. The Srimad Bhagavatam says that the perfection of life is samsiddhir haritoshanam, to be able to remember Krishna at the end of life. But this remembrance comes only with Vyavasayat Buddhi. Okay? Now, Queen Kunti further confirms this. He says, Janmaishvarya Shruta Sibir. If one is interested in high parentage, Janmaishvarya, material opulence, high education, okay, he cannot approach you with a sincere feeling. So for as long as we maintain this ajnana, okay, this ignorance, then we will always be attracted by the illusory energy, okay? And what is the perfection, what is the summit of this material energy? That one becomes attracted, okay? His lust is inflamed for material things. And by attachment to these material things, okay, one does not develop a sincere feeling. So here, feeling is very important, okay? Bhakti is a feeling. Love is a feeling. And so is greed. And so is selfishness, okay? But to have these divine transcendental feelings, one must be solely grounded on the instruction of Guru. So for as long as one cannot accept the Guru as the representative of Krishna, as the mercy personification of Krishna, okay, then this transition will never happen. Okay? So sometimes we see people, okay, the first and last interaction they have with their Guru is during initiation. There is no endeavor to go and visit. There is no endeavor to go and ask a question. There is no endeavor to send an email. There is no endeavor to make a phone call. So how is love there? There is no love. And you say you are a disciple? How is that possible? It is not possible. Okay? This love is explained by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction, the Dati Pratigrinati. He says, offering prasad, accepting prasad, offering charity, accepting charity, revealing one's mind, and hearing instruction. These are the exchanges, loving exchanges between two persons. So if you do not do that to your Guru, how can you develop Guru Bhakti? And without Guru Bhakti, how can you develop Krishna Bhakti? It is impossible. Therefore, that process, Ado Shadda Tata Sadhu Sangha, that is very important. Because only through Tata Sadhu Sangha, one can engage in bhajan kriya. And one can be purified of anarthas. So that song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Aparada Habihat, all my offenses will cease. So offenses, okay, this is one of the anarthas. There are three kinds of anarthas, okay? First is asat trishna, asat. So the soul is sat, material energy is asat. So asat trishna means the thirst for material things. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam, janmaishvarya shutasibhi. This is asat trishna. And this is coming because you are not solely grounded in Sambandhagyan. Next is Hridaya Daurbalyam. Krishna uses this word, Hridaya Daurbalyam, weakness of heart. When Arjun did not want to fight, Krishna said, "Hey Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you?" And he uses the word Hridaya Daurbalyam, weakness of the heart. But in that text in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada translates that into a deeper meaning. He says Hridaya Daurbalyam is dirtiness of the heart. So what are these? These are the propensities of the heart and the mind. What is this? This is deceit. This is envy. This is pratishta. I want to be glorified. Yes, I am great sadhu. I am a senior devotee. I am a swami. I am this. I am that. Pratishta. You know? And we love this. Okay? So this is the weakness of the heart. Okay? And the third is aparad. So aparad, there are three things. We have Shaiva aparad. So we have the 10 offenses because chanting Hare Krishna is Seva. We have offenses in chanting. We have offenses in deity worship. Okay? So many. And then we have Vaishnava aparad. Offenses to the devotees. And then we have Jiva aparad. Offenses to other living entities. So sometimes, we're devotees, we think, oh, these karmis, they're nonsense. So we don't treat them properly, But this karmi is also an eternal associate of Krishna. However, he's blind. He's blinded. So if you feel that way, Kapila Dev said, you are a prakrita bhakta, materialistic devotee. Why? Because you cannot see me in the heart of everyone. So even if you perform your deity worship with full faith, because you cannot see me in the heart of other living entities, your understanding is poor. Therefore, you are prakrita bhakta, materialistic devotee, kanishta. And kanishta, his chanting is on the level of offensive chanting, aparad chanting. At most, he can go to namabas. That's all. Clearing stage. He cannot move forward. So therefore, there are many lessons in the Shastra that says that for one to, you can see this, from the initial cantos of the Bhagavatam, that Krishna, okay, and the devotees, they say, one has to see the Lord in the heart of every living entity. Vidya Vinaya Shampani Brahmani Gavi Hashtini Sulichaiva Sapakicha Pandita Shambhala. Then you can become Pandit. You have to practice this. So sometimes, after morning program, we chant Hare Krishna, then we chant our rounds, and then we prepare ourselves to go to work. The moment you step into the car, boom, finished. What is the practice there? Okay. So what should you be thinking while you are driving? When there is a bad driver on the road, you start cursing. Okay. When you go into the work, you see your boss, you're nice to the boss. You see your competitor, you're not nice. When they don't treat you properly, you get upset. Okay. And when you go home, you do Sundar Arati, but your mind is already too disturbed to even focus. Why? Because the practice is not there. So when you go, you should always think, oh, Krishna, please come with me. Sit in my car. I will clean this car for you. I will put your seat here. You please come with me. You guide me while I'm driving. And we can discuss there while I'm driving. When people are bad on the road, they say, oh, this is Rajagun in action. Krishna, see, your energy is so powerful. It drives people crazy. And when you walk into your office, you should think, oh, Krishna, this is your business. You are my real CEO, so I should come here. I should work very nicely because this is your business. And everybody here is just your servant. I will be nice to them because they're also your servants. They are also within, you are also within their heart. So if you practice like this every day, then that ahituki will be there. If you see Krishna in the heart of even your baddest boss, are you going to be, disrespectful to him? No. you are going to give him the proper respect because you see that this person within his heart, Krishna stays there. So I should be nice to him. I should try to do something good for him. I should give him prasada. Okay, if your wife is a good cook, you can bake cookies, you can bake cupcakes, you can bring some nice food and share it to him, little by little, little by little. Then that becomes the platform of mercy. Then one comes to the platform of madhyam, where he becomes merciful to others. But that all starts from practicing to say Krishna in the heart of every living entity. Also the animals, if there are stray dogs in the neighborhood, give them prasada. You play kirtan so that when they come to your house, they can listen. Just like right now, COVID, so everything is online. So when I have meetings, I play a little bhajan in the background. So maybe they cannot hear this, but the vibration is there. So they can hear it and they get purified while I'm having this mundane meeting with my office mates. Okay? So there is an art. Krishna says this is the art of work. So all of these instructions are given in the Shastras. But one must also have the desire to study them. Okay? Prabhupada wrote so many books. Sometimes I hear, oh, how can we read all of these books in this lifetime? Now that tells me about your appetite in understanding Krishna consciousness. You see? My Gurudev, when he sent me back to university, he said, you go to school, you wear your dhoti and kurta every day, you shave your head, you put tila. And in the Philippines, that's a Christian country. To wear that, you must be out of your mind, you must be crazy. You see? And he said, every day you should study 1 hour Bhagavad Gita and 1 hour Bhagavatam. Do this without any fail. And you can finish Bhagavatam in 1 year. And I told him, Gurudev, what if I'm a slow reader? He said, don't worry. Slow or fast reader, 1 hour a day, you will finish it. And I finished it, and I'm a slow reader. Okay? So if one does not study the scriptures with the mode of detachment and service, then he will not be able to mirror himself. He will not be able to see himself. Okay? So all of these stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam, these are stories so that you can get inspiration from, so that your hope will increase, so that you will be inspired. If you are finding difficulty because you are wanting to serve, but the mind is just so disturbed, this is where you get inspiration. Krishna says you have to control the lower self by the higher self. But the intelligence becomes strong when his faith in the scriptures becomes strengthened. So Srila Prabhupada has wrote all his purports in all of his books. You see? So what are these purports? These purports are the deep realizations of Srila Prabhupada. And he has compiled all the instructions of the Vaishnava Acharyas. So therefore, if you would say there, he would quote Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He would quote Jiva Goswami. He would quote Rupa Goswami. So the purport of Srila Prabhupada is actually a combination of all the deepest realizations of all the deceptive succession. And what is the purpose? This is to guide us. This is to make sure that we have a proper understanding of the Shastra. This is the shelter given by the Guru Parampara, the deceptive succession, so we will not be misled. This is the shelter. We say Guru Ashraya. This is the shelter. But people do not like the purport. Sometimes they only read the verses. They don't even read the word-for-word translation. You say, if you read the word-for-word translation, sometimes Prabhupada uses words there that are not used in the main translation. But that, gives you a deeper perspective of the verse. So Prabhupada said, I have in my books, not only him, all the Vaishnava Acharyas are in those books. And where are they? They're in the purport. So we study this book so that we can get inspired. We study this book so that we can see the wrongness in our understanding. Okay? we can see that our Siddhanta is actually Apasiddhanta. So Prabhupada is correcting us here. Why? Because with the wrong conclusions, again, you develop a wrong understanding of who you are. So to develop a pratihata, one must take shelter of the Vaishnavacharyas. One must see his guru as the external mercy representation of Krishna. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati made a very strong statement. He says that if a disciple cannot accept his guru on that level, then he will never understand what it means to be sheltered. He will never understand what it means to be maintained by the Supreme Lord. He will never understand how he is protected by the Supreme Lord. In short, all his reading of the Shastra is utterly useless. So you will see here that the whole bhakti process starts from the mercy of the pure devotee. Krishna does not give this automatically, freely. Why? Because when one becomes a pure devotee, Krishna becomes the servant. He loses his independence, you see. So it was not given automatically. But when the pure devotee says, no, you please have mercy on this person, then Krishna is bound. That's why he says, Kaunteya pratijani hi namepashna prashati. Declare it, Arjuna. My devotee will never lose in the end game. That is the power of the devotee. That is the power of serving the pure devotees of Krishna. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Haribo, very elaborately, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So in one line, I guess we could say one-pointed, offenseless service to spiritual master, acharyas, and fellow Vaishnavas. Thank you so much. And you have given many examples from Shastras as well.
In fact, even if you're offensive, for instance, you have an offensive mentality. Okay? We say, tabi to ga ibuhay na masuki ang paradahabyat. If the spiritual master gives his mercy, still you will get. You can see in the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, he was sitting with hatred and anger because he was driven away by the stepmother, the queen. Okay? So Dhruva Maharaj goes to his mother and he says, my dear mother, I feel so bad. Tell me where I can find the person who can give me a kingdom better than the kingdom of my father, better than the kingdom of my grandfather Brahma. Where can I find such a person? So the mother said, what I have heard is you can find this person Vishnu in the forest. So Dhruva Maharaj took that with faith. Okay? The mother became the Vartma Pradakshaka Guru, the guru that leads the way. So he goes, off he goes. And now, Krishna sees this boy. So he sends Narad. So Narad says, Dhruva, where are you going? I'm going to the forest. What will you do there? I am going to look for the person who can give me a better kingdom. He said, but you're a young boy, the animals will eat you there. They will kill you there. You're a young boy, forget this, You're young. You're just feeling bad. I said, no. Narad, if you can give me a better instruction, stay away from my path. See the attitude? It was the surrender. He said, this kind of instruction you're giving me does not penetrate my heart. Why? Because I am a Kshatriya. Blame it on my birth. I'm a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya is one who does not take insult very lightly. We are going to kill people because of insult. So if you're not going to give me any good advice, stay out of my way. Very strong. 5 years old. Kshatriya. So Narad says, okay, if you have to go, then this is my instruction. So he gave him the mantra, he gave him the process. And Dhruva bows his head and say, I will do it. So even though a person does not have that mentality, if the pure devotee becomes merciful, then that change will also happen. Krishna will be obliged to come and show himself. That is the power of the pure devotee of Krishna. So therefore, we should never consider them ordinary. We should never consider them like an ordinary associate. There's a saying, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes with our friends, we think they're just as ordinary as we are. No. So therefore, the Shastra says, you have to look inward. You have to look at yourself, you know. And if you're always thinking how bad you are, how fallen you are, if you always understand that point, then that mercy will flow. You know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote a lot of songs in his collection called Sharanagati. And then he says, my dear Lord, I am a pig. I have no worth. If you will not be merciful to me, how can I even free myself from all of this? That's why every day, the first thing that we do is, the first song that we sing is, Samsaradava nalalidhaloka chanaya karunya ganagarat. Samsaradava. The spiritual master extinguishes this fire of eternal samsara, birth and death, by his mercy. That is the power of the spiritual master. That is the power of the automatic current. So one is advised. One is advised to offer service, to take a humble position before them, and to accept their instruction within one's heart. If one is sincere about that, then everything will be cleared. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, conscious of the time, we still have at least 4 more questions, and I will go quick. Please let me know if we are overrunning. The next is a follow-up question from Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji, that how is it possible to reach the spiritual master when he has more than 50,000 disciples? Though we have the endeavor, but still can't reach.
Very good question. You see, the spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. In fact, in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadev Goswami is glorified as one who can penetrate the hearts of everyone. So one devotee asked Prabhupada, do you also enter the hearts of your disciples? And he said, that is only possible for a very strong acharya. Now, of course, Prabhupada is a very strong acharya. Okay? Now, if we have faith, if our desire is pure, if our desire is strong, even if the spiritual master is surrounded by millions of disciples, Krishna will give you that opportunity. So it all depends again on the purity of your determination. Now, Krishna will find a way. I will give you an example. There's a nice story in the Caitanya Bhagavat. Okay, this Caitanya Bhagavat is the other part of the Caitanya Caritamrta. This is written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. This book was written before Caitanya Caritamrta came. Okay, there is a story here about Kalidas. You know, this Kalidas, he always wanted to have the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He could not have it. But he knew that if he serves the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, maybe he will have the chance. He also believed that. So the service that Kalidas used to do was he would always arrange for prasadam. Okay? He would arrange for prasadam, he would invite the devotees, he would serve them prasadam, he would make them happy. That was the only thing he was doing. Okay? So one day he came upon one great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His name was Janu Thakur. So this Janu Thakur, you know, is a very exalted. He was a grihasta, but he was a very, you know, exalted Paramahamsa. So he went there and said, Janu Thakur, I brought some nice mangoes for you. He said, no need. I mean, I'm okay. So he said, please accept, you know, please accept. If you will accept this, I will be fortunate. So Janu Thakur accepts it. And then he says, okay, Janu Thakur, I will go now. So Janu Thakur walks him out of the yard, and Janu Thakur goes in while the wife is offering the mangoes. So when Janu Thakur enters the house, this Kalidas, he goes back, you know, and he looks at the footsteps of of Chandra Thakur, he takes the dust and sprinkles it all over himself. You know, he was such a believer of this. You know, and then he hid himself behind the bushes, and he was watching Chandra Thakur consume all the mangoes. And when he finished eating all the mangoes, okay, the wife took it and they threw all the seeds and the peelings in the pit, garbage pit behind the house. So when nobody was looking, this Kalidas, he jumps into the garbage pit. He takes out all this Mahaprasad of Janu Thakur. He starts nibbling on the peelings, you know, and on the seeds. Okay. So one time when it was time for the Association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita, Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu to go and visit Lord Chaitanya in Puri, they invited Janu Thakur. Come, Janu Thakur, come with us. Let's go and visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he said he was very happy. He was very happy. Okay. But this invitation was again inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the super soul. Okay. So when they reach Puri, they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going inside the Jagannath Puri temple. And he was washing his feet. You know, the place where they wash your feet before you enter the Lion Gate. So they were there. And this Kalidas, he goes there, offers his dandavats, and sips the water that washes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet. He takes it once, he takes it twice, he takes it 3 times. Now, no one in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not even Sarup Damodar, was able to do this. No one. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forbade this. Maybe you can take 1, but 3, no. So on the 3rd one, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, that's enough. You have already taken more than any jiva has taken. Now you are the most fortunate person in the universe. So, how did that happen? By his service to the pure devotees, just offering prasad. By his desire to get the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, if one has a genuine desire to have the darshan of his guru, who is going to stop you? No one is going to stop you.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. It reassures us that, as you said, that doesn't really matter. It's up to us. And if we have that desire, then certainly it's possible. It's a great hope in that sense. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, Srivas Thakur Prabhu and Varnavati Prabhu, just are you sure, like, are we going to continue with more questions today? Because I don't know, Prabhu, Srivas Thakur Prabhu, how busy he is after the session.
Today I am at your service.
Okay.
We can do this all day.
I was thinking maybe an opportunity to have one session completely with Prabhu, and so if today we are not able to come, because I know Varnavati Prabhu has not started his questions, so maybe I'm not sure, even others may have other back-to-back programs. Maybe another 5-10 minutes we'll have this. Srivas Thakur Prabhu, if you permit, maybe we
Yes.
can have one complete session only for questions, because Varnavati Prabhu has, I'm sure he has got a big list of questions for his own. He's sacrificed his questions and asking others, but he's keeping his questions aside. So
Yeah, maybe we can give him a chance to ask his question now.
Varnavati Prabhu, what do you say? Want to have one more session? Because next week we have Rasamrita Prabhu from Dubai. He's having a session. Week after, we can request Srivas Thakur Prabhu to bless us again.
Whatever is convenient for.
Because it definitely needs a full session. The way it is going, Prabhu is going so deep. So I don't know, because I don't want others also to miss. Some may have back-to-back other programs, other sessions.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have one more question from that Prabhu, since he has been waiting. So maybe one question we can go, and then we can.
Yeah, then we can have week
Continue
after continue with the Srivas Thakur Prabhu. Only question answer session. Nothing else.
Okay.
No class.
This looks like an interrogation now.
Haribo. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And one last question, and then otherwise, then maybe in a couple of weeks' time, we will have a session with you as well. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. This question is on behalf of Kal Chakra Krishna Prabhuji. And the question is, how do we cultivate a mood of complete non-expectation in relation to material needs, while at the same time prosecuting devotional services?
Very nice question. This question is also part of Sambandhagyan. Here we say Krishna is the cause of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mayatatam pravartate. So he's the provider of everything. Okay, not only for the humans, also for the animals, and for every living entity within the material creation. So he provides. But he provides what you need, not according to your specifications. Okay, according to what we need. This nice verse from Sri Upanishad, Isavasyam idam sarvam yad kincha jagatyam jagat tena chaknena bunjita. So Krishna knows your quota. He has given everyone a quota. Okay? Now, the moment you go outside your quota, that is bad. Okay? But when one is covered with, Rajaguna, okay, then he is covered with unlimited, endless desires. It never stops. He gets flooded with these desires. That is the potency of the Rajaguna. Okay? It is unstoppable. Right? But, we have a quota. And Krishna knows that. So when he gives you according to your quota, because we have been conditioned for so many lifetimes, billions of lifetimes, to be so selfish and greedy, we're not happy with that. We're not happy with that. So sometimes we say, Krishna, please give me your blessings. So when he gives, you a tuk-tuk instead of a Mercedes-Benz, you become unhappy. But he gave you a tuk-tuk. Now you can travel a little faster. You see? So Sambandhagyan means that Krishna is giving this to me as his mercy. He has a reason why he has given me this. He has a reason why he is not giving me now. Okay? So the servant will say, I believe in the wisdom of my master. He gives to me what I deserve, what I need right now. And if this is what he has given, then I shall accept. If he does not give anything, he has a reason why I should not have it. Maybe if I will have it, then my kama, my greed becomes inflamed more. So the devotee can see this with the eyes of Shastra, his Shastra Chaksu. That is the reason why we have Shastra, to instruct us in the moments where we are not happy, in the moment when we are disappointed with what is given to us. You see? But if you don't read Shastra, this will be a very bewildering moment. Okay? So how do we get this? We have to be a devotee is self-satisfied. That is the meaning of self-realization. He is self-satisfied. He is satisfied with whatever Krishna gives him because he understands this is given by Krishna for me. It's good for me now. Maybe he will take it away sometime. It's all up to him. That's why Caitanya Mahaprabhu taught us that prayer. Najanam nasadam nasundari. I do not need beautiful women. I don't need wealth. Just give me your costless mercy. And in the last verse of the Sakshastaka, he says, even if you break me in your embrace or you do not appear before me, you will still be my worshipable Lord. So these verses are very instructive. These verses are very inspirational. They inspire you when things do not go your way. Okay? So Krishna knows past, present, and future. He is omniscient. He is omnipresent. He is present here. He is present there. Ito nirsingho, para to nirsingho. Yato, ito, amita, to nirsingho. Lord Nirsingha is here. He is there. He is inside my heart. He is outside my heart. He knows what is good for me. So that is the mentality of a sadhaka. Okay? When it doesn't happen his way, he will wait. Krishna has a message here. Krishna has a plan here. Okay? So he becomes conscious. Prabhupada said, first you have to be conscious before you can become Krishna conscious. So you have to be observant also. So if things do not go your way, there is a very good reason. And the Shastras say that whatever Krishna does is always good for you. So if you have that faith, if you try to cultivate that faith, then even if Krishna does not give you anything, you're happy. Like Sudama. Sudama, the wife asked him, hey Sudama, Krishna is your friend. He is the king of Dwarka. Why don't you go and ask him for something? We're living in a hut. We don't even have something to eat. So Sudama said, I'm okay. I'm satisfied. Why are you unsatisfied? Because I see you're suffering. You're so thin. You have nothing to eat. So I am looking after your welfare and I feel so sad. So please go. I beg you, please go. He's your friend anyway. So this wife, he goes, because they don't have anything, he goes to the neighbors and beg for some rice so that Sudama can bring something to Krishna. But Sudama, he was thinking, now I will see my friend. He was not thinking about begging. He was not thinking of that. So he went to see Krishna. And when the Krishna sees Sudama, says, Sudama, my friend, it's been a long time. Come sit on my bed, I wash your feet. And Rukmini was, I mean, who is this guy? My husband is the king of Dwarka. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. How is he treating this poor Brahmin like this? So the whole time Rukmini was even amazed. Okay? So they tell stories, they swap stories with Sudama, and then finally Sudama said, oh Krishna, I know you're busy, you're the king, you know, your wife also needs, I have to go now. He said, I'm sure you came here for something. And Sudama said, no, I'm happy that I have seen you. Are you sure? Yeah, I have nothing to ask. So he goes away. And Krishna says, wait. I know you brought something for me. Now, Sudama, he was so embarrassed to give him the rice because it was of so poor quality. He cannot give it to his friend. So he said, Krishna, no, I have nothing. You know, I'm just a poor Brahman. And he said, wait. And Krishna's not just that. And immediately he pops it into his mouth. And he says, this is the best prasad I have ever tasted. The same thing happened with Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das Goswami, when he was practicing such renunciation, he was taking prasadam from the sewers of the Jagannath temple where they wash the pots. And he would wash them and he would keep them. Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw that and he said, why are you keeping all this prasadam to yourself? Give me a part of that. You see? So even God becomes envious of whatever you have. That according to your conditions is so bad quality. You see? Krishna likes it. So when Sudama went away, Krishna felt so bad. He said, see, my devotee came here. I did not even do anything for him. But I will give him all the opulence that no single demigod can even enjoy in his lifetime. He made that comparison. No single demigod can enjoy this opulence I will give to Sudama. Yeah? So when Sudama reaches his village, he said, wait, I think I'm lost because that village has turned into a metropolis, you know. And when he saw, you know, this beautiful woman like, you know, Priyanka Chopra going down. So there's this woman. She said, Sudama, my darling, I'm here. Did not even recognize. So Krishna gives you beyond more what you expect. Okay? When you do not expect anything. So when a devotee is desirous, Krishna gives you everything because he knows you will not enjoy it for yourself. He knows you will use that to serve Krishna and his devotees. So how to develop that? We have to take the shelter of the great devotees because this is what Srimad Bhagavatam is all about. This is all about the glories of the devotees of Krishna, how they rise, how they fall, how they serve God in all the difficulties, you know, with all these, you know, seemingly insurmountable challenges that they have to face. You know, you can see how they behave. Like, for example, Parikshit Maharaj. He was the protector of the Brahmanas. A Brahmana cursed him, the son of a Brahmana cursed him to die in 7 days. Now, what if your doctor will say, you only have 7 days to live? What will you do? Oh, you will go to the temple. You will ask the devotee to pray for you. Chant Hare Krishna 3 times so that Krishna will give me a longer life. Is that the purpose of chanting? Is that the purpose why we go to the temple? So that you can prolong your stay in this material universe, so that you can achieve the very means of your destruction. Is that what you want? I want more cars. I want more money. I want a beautiful wife. 2 wives maybe. So I chant Hare Krishna so that I can achieve all of these things. Is that the purpose? No. Caitanya Mahaprabhu says, Chetu Darpana Marjana. That is meant to purify you so that you will give up the taste for these things. But if you will use the Harinam so that you can achieve all of these things, then you're pagal big time. You do not know the purpose of the Mahamantra. The purpose of the Mahamantra is to free you. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna San. This is the freedom. This is the way to be free. Okay? Because in Kali Yuga, everyone, Manda Sumandama, they are unfortunate, misguided, quarrelsome, okay, unlucky. Okay? They think they're, but now because you have a tilak on your head, you think you're already very fortunate. Wait a minute. I have to think again. Okay? So all the Dharma practices in previous yugas, they will not work now. Meditation in Satya Yuga, it will not work here. Why? People are easily distracted. The phone rings, stop japa. You see? In Treta Yuga, okay, Dwapara Yuga, there was massive deity worship. But even in Kali Yuga, this deity worship is so contaminated already. So Krishna needed, a powerful way to save the most unfortunate living entities. And so he sends the most powerful means of deliverance. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu says that. I am a fool. I don't understand Vedanta. But my Gurudev said, Echan Hare Krishna. And I have full faith in that. And he's told me, Harinam, 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 Bhaiva, Evalam. Kalau Sheva. That is the only way. So if I will take chanting Hare Krishna, because this is my only way of deliverance, and you use that to achieve your material benefits, then you must be very, very, very unfortunate. Okay? So to develop apratiyata, one again must take the mercy of a pure with an honest heart. Honest heart. Shuridchatam, vidunoti shuridchatam. These are, from the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto. Okay? Krishna says that Krishna is the benefactor of the truthful devotee. So if you're honest in your purpose, pure in your purpose, pure in your motives, then you will have the mercy of Krishna and he will send his pure devotee. Why? Because you are honestly telling Krishna, look, I am very bad. Without your mercy, I will not have any chance. I will not stand a chance. So please help me. So if one will acknowledge all his faults and stop, this business of self-aggrandizement, if he will only see himself really as a prisoner of the material energy, and he has been here wandering in all the cosmos for so many lifetimes without achieving any happiness whatsoever. If he can see that, and he will always meditate on that, then the mercy of Krishna will always come. That he also promised. Okay? So this is the way. We cannot perfect this process of bhakti without bhajana kriya. Tata sadhu sangam sa bhajana kriya. Without the mercy of the pure devotee of Krishna, all our achievements, all our activities, all whatever we do will not find any meaning. I hope that answers your question. Haribol.
Haribol, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And in the comment section in the chat, I could see a lot of devotees being paying the obeisances, and comments are so welcoming. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Prabhuji.
maybe I should read those.
We thoroughly enjoyed it, and a lot of practical aspects. That's the best thing, because we could hear, but until unless we could think that we could follow them, they are not of much useful. But all those things you said, I think there are lots, most of them I would say we could follow on daily basis. Certainly, Prabhuji, we will request you to come back, and where we have left it, we will resume back from here. If you will, please provide your association back to us in maybe a
Hare
couple of
Krishna.
weeks' time. We will really feel blessed. Thank you so much. If any other devotee would like to say anything else, Raman Kanai Prabhuji, would you like to?
Thank you very much, Varanapati Prabhu, for a wonderful anchoring of today's session. And we could milk best out of Srivas Thakur Prabhu today. So hope we'll have this one more session, as I was telling. So Prabhu, Srivas Thakur Prabhu, are you available on 26th of September, the week after?
I will block that on my calendar, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So I
So
can
make sure 20th September you block for us. Actually, we planned some other program, but devotees may say that program is cancelled. So that day is open for us. Hope we'll have your association on that day. Next week is already booked for some other devotee. You know, Rasamrita Prabhu from Dubai is going to show his message upon us next Saturday. So week after 26 September, we look forward. Once we have a confirmation, then we'll make it official. Thank you very much, Srivastava Prabhu, for
thank you very
your
much.
time. We
Thank
did
you
not
very much for
realize
having me.
that we had 120 minutes of session today. So YouTube shows
Sorry.
YouTube shows is already 120 minutes crossed, but we did not realize. So thank you very much, Prabhu. Thanks for your time. It is amazing session. So we look forward to have your association once again on 26 September. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
Prabhu.
much for your patience, and thank you very much for your questions.